Namaste. Welcome. So today's topic is quite important. I will be talking about the breath, particularly thoracic breathing versus abdominal breathing, which is actually correct, which is more ideal, and which is the healthiest way of breathing, especially when you practice yoga. If you're going to ask me, there should be no confusion. There should be no fighting. What causes the confusion and the fighting is actually the understanding of this process from the practical perspective. When we just keep ourselves caught up with the theory and not actually feeling it and cultivating it inside of us, that's when we get confused. So the understanding of the breath as an experience is very important, because you can just talk about this lengthily with the theory and the anatomy and the physiology of it, but actually the sensation inside is far, far, far different from what is written in the books. Okay, especially if you practice breathing regulation together with a kriyas or asanas or a meditation. As the body becomes open, as the nadis become open and free of blockages and anything that's trapping the energy channels, inevitably the breath will just flow organically inside. When I talk about the breath, I mean the sensation, the feeling, the manifestations inside, and not just about the gaseous air that we inspire and expire, or inhale or exhale. Right? Now, what really causes this sensation that the tummy becomes inflated, or not really inflated, but you feel inside that the tummy becomes, I would say, filled with a breath or energy or sensation, is not actually the air going down. It's your structure inside, and of course the things that are happening inside as you breathe in. All right. Now, when you inspire or when you inhale, definitely to make room for the lungs to open, the diaphragm descends. And that is actually the reason why you feel your belly becomes inflated inside. But it's not the gaseous air that goes down. It's the manifestation of your inner body moving as you breathe. All right. So don't be caught up in this idea that you have to push the air down so the belly goes big. No, it's the sensation, it's the feeling that causes that one inside you to feel like you are actually drawing that breath downward, but it's not. It's your diaphragm descending to make room for the lungs to open. You're breathing through your chest. All right, so that's only one. Now, when the bandhas become more develop inside, especially the Mula Bandha and the Uddiyana Bandha, that makes the process even more profound. So in the past tutorials, I always talk about that the breath is rising, it's ascending, it's heading towards the upward direction. All right. Now, you might get confused. Why is it that when you inhale, you feel the energy rises, where in fact you're allowing the energy to enter? So logically it will make more sense if you are just be talking and thinking about the theory. It will make more sense that when you inhale, the sensation is actually dropping because you're allowing the air to enter. No, when the bandhas inside become more active and involved in the process, the energy locks would somehow harness and collect the breath, the sensation, together with everything that's organically happening inside, the muscles inside, the hips, everything there. They will go narrow and they will draw up the sensation upwards. So even if you feel this one goes inflated inside, actually structurally, you will feel this one goes thin. You will actually feel and notice that when you inhale, instead of your belly bulging forward, it goes thin and then long. Even if you feel inside that the pressure goes down because of your diaphragm descending. So you're going to feel that inflation, but it's not the air going down. All right. So the air, the gaseous air, only goes to your lungs. And then when the lungs expand, of course, the diaphragm descends, and that's what causes you to feel the inflation. Yeah. But inside, it's actually the sensation, the feeling is ascending. Because now the Mula Bandha and the Uddiyana Bandha will harness and collect the energy, and together with the suction coming from the nostrils, even if the air goes down, yeah, the technique and the skill is actually drawing upwards. So the lungs will expand sideways. You're going to feel the upper back open. But here, together with the bandhas involved, the sensation is actually uplifting, rising and ascending. Even if you feel your belly becomes a little bit more, I would say, inside, it feels like some of the air goes there, but it's not the air, it's the diaphragm descending that causes you to feel that. But you're not bulging it and force the air down. Right? So this is really quite interesting. Unless you feel the bandhas and the rest of your inner dynamics become more involved in the process, you won't be able to understand its full essence from the practical perspective. All right, that's number two. Yeah. First is the process and the engagement of the bandhas. Now, there will be other manifestations or effects that will arise from this process. Number one is the sound. All right. So the sound of the Ujjayi. So Ujjayi breathing is something that we don't force to happen for the sake of producing the sound. I have to be clear on that. Because when you do the sound alone, without you understanding what is really happening inside the body, yeah, what is really the role of the bandhas, and then you just produce the sound, it might even do more harm than good. Because remember, when you do the Ujjayi, like that, you're not actually breathing your normal rhythm. Yeah? If your bandhas are not strong enough to sustain the pressure, you might hurt your heart, especially if you have heart conditions or any cardiovascular condition that necessitate you not to put pressure, too much pressure inside your lungs, in the heart. Ujjayi breathing could actually be more harmful. All right. Over time, when your bandhas and your energy locks become stronger, more efficient, managing the flow of energy, the sound will just happen. It will just happen. You won't even have to think about the sound being dominant when you breathe. Because the narrowing of the energy channel inside the body through the use of the bandhas and then the gentle suction coming from the nostril while the breath enters the lungs, will actually cause the sound. All right, so that's the inhalation. Now, exhalation. All right. Logically, it will make more sense for a beginner to think that when you exhale, since the body empties, the sensation drops. It will make more sense. Yeah. However, the exhalation is also ascending. The sensation, that's what I mean right now. So if the inhalation is, I would say, inflating, I'm not talking about this one, the chest and the lungs inflate. but the sensation is rising. The exhalation now, even if you empty the body, with the locks again, the Mula Bandha, the Uddiyana Bandha, becoming more active in the process, they will organically, inherently, they will allow, or they will make way for the inner part of your structure to go even narrow and thin. And they will gently hug towards the back. And together with the Jalandhara Bandha controlling the exit of the breath, actually inside, you're gonna feel there's a hook lifting inside. And the hook is actually, you can feel the hook stops at the base of the throat. To make way for the next process of inhalation to remain light. Because when you empty, if you just suddenly collapse it, you lose the process. You lose all the work you've done. Yeah? So somehow the process of breathing and controlling the whole of what's happening inside the body together with the locks and your awareness and the sensation, they all combine together to make breathing a healthy experience. And not just about what we read in the books. Inflate the tummy, bulge the tummy. And when you exhale, empty the tummy, hollow the tummy. No. It's not really the mind doing it, but your inner body and all the things that you've worked over a long period of time of practicing, that you've developed long, that will make all of these things happen. Which brings me to the topic of progression. So you don't want to be jumping straight to the breathing works without you cultivating your Bandhas. And this brings me back to the topic of strengthening your structure. Because when the body is weak externally, when the muscles are weak externally, even how hard you try to do your breathing work, it will not happen. Because all these deep and profound manifestations of the breath will only happen once the bandhas become developed inside. And the only way to make your bandhas really strong, and you might disagree with me on this one, is by strengthening your body through kriyas, asanas, and progressive practice of elements which make the inner body open. Hip openers, back bends, active hip openers, actually asanas. As you go deeper, they will just develop inside. Now, does it mean that the person who cannot do the asanas won't be able to develop the bandhas? Generally, the brutal truth is yes. Right. This is when yoga becomes a little bit, I would say, brutal. Yeah? Because it's not actually for everyone. When I say it's not for everyone, I'm talking about the deeper aspects of the practice, the kriyas, the deeper asanas. Because not every one of us will be able to do it for many different reasons. Physical reason, emotional reason, obligation, commitments. Yeah. So this is the stage where yoga should be really considered seriously. And that where the role of the teachers enter. Because we as teachers will have to guide our students and really be honest about the process, especially if they are just beginning with the practice. Because so many things happening around and they window shop. Oh, this part of the community does this, and then the other one does the different. Where do I fit now as a student? So the progressive practice and how to guide our students is really very important as teachers. So as teachers now, we have to develop ourselves. Unless we feel it inside our body, unless we feel the manifestations, become more meaningful through experience and not just through reading books. Right? So all the things that we are doing, the physical work, the asanas, they have importance. They are significant. So just don't be too I would say too analytical about this. That yoga is not just about the asanas. Then what is yoga about? Yoga is about the breath, breathing. The breathing is very important. Yes, it is very important. But before it happens, the essence of the breathing, before it happens, the body and the inner dynamics of the body would have to develop first. Yeah? So don't skip asanas for the glory of working the breath. Because if you do that, you are putting yourself in a dangerous situation. So it's a ladder. Step by step, step by step. And that's the essence of the limbs of yoga. You don't skip the previous stages in an attempt to go higher. Every day in my practice, I keep realizing and discovering things. So what I am telling you now may just be the initial stages. Really, it's never it. So always go back, always go back. Feel it again. Yeah? If I say our tongue can do lots of things for our inner body, I mean it is very true. Because as you go deeper, you will realize and then discover things that your tongue can do to access some more deep spots in your body. Yeah, but that would have to be tackled in another session because it's quite deep already. Right, even the bandhas. There are more than 3. We have bandhas in all hollow spots of our body. And when you become more aware of these things and sensations and realms in the body that you never thought existed, the breath would become another different experience, another dimension. So the heart of the discussion is this. So there should be no fighting, there should be no confusion. What causes the confusion is ourselves. We not trying our best to really practice it on the practical perspective. And we just keep reading, memorizing theories, anatomy, naming the body parts. Where in fact, yoga in its deeper sense is less about that. It's really more on the sensation, the manifestations that only practice could ever give. Practice is the key. Yeah. I can't overemphasize that even more. All right, I'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.